Namaskar. Welcome you all in this educational video of NIOS. Today we are going to do subject EVS. This is for senior secondary level and code number for this subject is 333. Today we are going to do lesson number 2. Lesson name is, as you can see on the screen, it is Environmental Science. Lesson name is Environment and Human Society. Let us now understand the introduction part of this lesson. We all know that there is a relationship between the environment and the human society. The environment has played a great role in shaping the human societies. But we human beings also from the society, they have also affected the environment. The interaction between human society and the environment is constantly changing. As we all know that we use different resources from the environment, we get food from the environment, we eat so many things, there are vegetations available in the environment, these are our basic needs. So all these things we get from the environment and the human society uses them all. But we also should be aware, in return, we as a human also influences the environment. Like humans, they cut so many trees and they use those resources for making their buildings, constructions. So there is an equal give and take among both. So accordingly, there is interaction between the human society and the environment, and it is constantly occurring. During earlier days, the primitive humans lived in forests. And at that time, as we all know that the humans, they had a different physical structure which was completely different from the modern days human. That time, that primitive human, they lived in forests and near water bodies, and they also interacted with the environment, as they used to hunt and they used to gather different foods, they used to collect stones for making some tools so that can be used for them. Let us now understand the objectives of this lesson. First, we will be understanding the natural resources which are in the environment. We call them as environment. I will explain all those resources and you will be able to understand. The second objective is we will be able to understand this word Homo sapiens. This is the scientific name of the human body. We all must be aware and we all must remember that Homo sapiens is the name. it's a scientific name which is given to the human being, which was the primitive man. You can say the first generation man. In science, we call him Homo sapiens. Whenever we talk about Homo sapiens, that means that first man of this earth. The third objective of this lesson is we will also be able to understand and discuss about all the primitive humans as hunters and gatherers. We will understand all this later. And the next objective is we will be able to describe the tools used by primitive humans for different purposes which that primitive human were using at that time. And the fifth objective, which is the last objective, we will be able to explain how the nomadic humans started living a settled life. As we all know that earlier the humans were moving from one place to the other, but after some time something happened and they started living a settled life. Now let us begin our lesson. As you can see on the screen, there are different kinds of resources available in the environment, and those resources can be categorized in two categories. The first one is abiotic and the other one is biotic. Let us first understand the meaning of abiotic. Abiotic are those resources which are non-living. You can also see the image on the screen, like the soil and the water from the rain, the temperature. So all these things, all these resources are known as abiotic or non-living resources. And the other category you can see on the screen as well, it is of biotic, that means having living creatures like plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, vegetables, fruits, all those things which we use for our food. For example, if we keep our food for 1 or 2 days, then you can see the fungi. So that is also biotic. Here we are talking about only the environmental resources. Just as we understood the two main categories, abiotic and the biotic resources, let us now understand little more about the abiotic resources. These abiotic resources, as you all know, these are in the environment, which are the physical part of nature. As you might have seen some of the natural places like this. In the image, you can see on the screen all these abiotic resources. There is a map, and the sunlight is very strong, which is coming on the earth, and also the gas is available. As we cannot see the gas or the air and the petrol, the soil, the metals, all these are the physical things which we can see and we can touch. So these are all abiotic resources. We have understood the abiotic resources. Let us now understand the biotic resources. These biotic resources are from the biological part of nature, which includes plants, animals, and also the microorganisms. We know that microorganisms are very small organisms. So, we call those small organisms as microorganisms. We have understood the two categories, abiotic resources and biotic resources, that you can see on the screen as well. Here we will understand the few examples of these resources, like abiotic resources are land, water, energy, petroleum and natural gas, and also the metal ores. On the right side of the screen, you can see the biotic resources are plants, animals, like we are also biotic resources, and microorganisms. We will further in detail understand about both of these resources in our further slides. Now, let us begin with abiotic resources. First, we will talk about land, which is a abiotic resource. Have you all seen the mountains, the rocks, the deserts, plain and grasslands, forests and swamps? So, we humans not only make our homes in these land areas, but we also prepare fields for cultivation, and we also grow crops according to the prevailing climates. In nature, you must have seen the green places, like whenever there are some plants, there are some roots also, and you must have seen some swamp areas in the environment. So, land is a abiotic resource which we use for different purposes. We grow plants, we cultivate crops. So, land is a powerful abiotic resource, and whatever modifications we do in our prevailing climates. As we all know, the word shed, which is used for cattle and different domestic animals, cows and all the domestic animals, they live there. And also there are some other shelters which are constructed, and sometimes there are roads carved out of the mountains for different purposes like travel and transportations. You must have seen circular mountains, roads. So, those circular roads are all carved roads. In addition, you can see, and you must have seen the places being utilized for flyovers, subways, metros, and of course, for different industrialization purposes and factories and different urbanizations work also. And sometimes there are some human projects which are done on the land. And all these projects which are done on the land, they diminish the natural land resources, because all those construction work, all those buildings, factories are constructed there. Now, we have understood the land. Now, let us understand this water resource. This is very important. Water is another important natural resource. And we all know that our life cannot exist without water. It is impossible. So it is the basic human need. Food, water, vegetables, these are our basic needs. And water is very important among all these needs. Our country has plenty of rivers, and also it is surrounded by sea from 3 sides, if you see in a map. But still, we face a lot of scarcity of potable water. It's a big problem. And this scarcity of water, which is a big problem, this is because that we humans, we use the fresh water from the natural water bodies. And because we know that the natural water bodies are having the salt, so those water bodies, they filter the water, and the filtered water is sent through pipes and taps to our urban homes. And at homes, we all must have seen the pipes. Our water in our home come from the tap. If we drink the outside water, that is a salty water. We will not be able to drink it. And in the ocean and sea, we use that only to catch fish from the seawater, and also to travel on ships from one place to another just for enjoyment purpose, just like a picnic. But we cannot use that water for our everyday life. That is a difficult work. Now let us understand little further that natural water bodies include the 2 main resources. The first one is ocean and the second is seas. Also the surface water bodies such as rivers, lakes, waterfalls and ponds are also the water resources. In India, we have different rivers, and there are different lakes also. Different water bodies are there in our country. So sea and ocean is not the only water bodies. And almost 80% of the Earth's fresh water, it remains frozen on the 2 poles, the North Pole and the South Pole of the Earth. You must have seen the globe, image of the globe. So on the 2 poles, the water is frozen at higher altitudes and on the mountain tops. So only 20% is available in liquid form. And we all know that water is needed for different purposes, like the first purpose of water is it is used for irrigation of agricultural crops. And the other usage of water is it is used in industries. So water is important. And the third usage of water is it is used for building, construction work. And the fourth usage of water is there are some businesses like culture of fish, culture of prawns or aquatic plants. So you can say the aquaculture business we need water for the work. You can say a project or a business. And also, it is used for drinking, bathing, cleaning, washing, gardening. And in our daily life, we use water for drinking, we use it for bathing purpose, for cleaning, for cleaning our home, we wash everything, and we wash our utensils, we do gardening, we wash our clothes. So water is used for many purposes like gardening, pottery making, etc. So all these are the different usages of water. So water is very important for human life. It supports the human survival. And water, we all know that water is a natural replenishable resource. And also we know that it is becoming scarcity it is becoming less now, as we have understood the abiotic resource land and water. Now this is the another abiotic resource, which is energy. We all know that we get solar energy from the sun. We human also use solar energy in different ways. The primitive humans used energy in their own ways, like they used firewoods, and also they used cow dung, and also other animal waste for heating and cooking purposes. So there are different kinds of animal wastes which can be used for the production of energy. Now this is another form of energy. We all know that seeds are very useful, and oil can be extracted from seeds, and also fish was used by that primitive man to light caves and have shelter. As the caves were dark, so they used to put oil, and with the stone they used to light and have energy in their room so that they can do their work in the presence of light. And another major source of energy is fossil fuels such as coal. We know that fossil fuels are inside the earth, and coal, as you all know, that coal also has been formed from the vegetations which grew millions of years ago. They fell and got trapped in the sediments during that time, and under immense pressure and intense heat for a long time, for years, trees and vegetations buried in sediments, they got transformed into coal. The duration for all this transformation is not few years, it is many years. It has been kept under pressure inside the earth for a very long time. Hope you have understood the lesson. Thank you. Namaskar.